Hello everyone, my name is Amanda and I will be a sophomore at Hopkins starting in the fall. So today what craft we're going to be making is a paper daisy chain, and it kind of looks like this on the window above me. It's very nice for summer. You can hang it pretty much anywhere, and I think it'll be a very fun craft to make, especially in your free time, because you can just keep continuing making this however long you want. So the materials that you're going to need are white paper, or you can also use white note cards or any kind of thick paper because that's going to hold up better, or yellow paper, or if you don't have that, you can just take a yellow marker or a crayon or pencil and just color your white paper yellow for the center of the daisy. You're also going to need tape, a pencil, scissors, and most importantly, your string. So I recommend like a kind of thicker, heavy duty string, or like yarn. Anyone is fine. I'm using jute cord for this purpose, but really anything is okay. So yeah, let's begin. So first you're gonna take your white paper, and something to keep in mind is that we are going to be making these flowers in batches of 8. So we're going to start by folding the paper into little squares so it will be easier for us to cut later. You're going to hold your paper like this, so it's like a tall rectangle, and then you're going to fold it in half first. So just like this. You should have a long rectangle in the end. And once you're ready with that, just make sure to crease it, because later we're going to be cutting it with our scissors. And now we're going to fold it in half again, like this, to divide the paper into fourths. So now it should look like this. After that, we're going to fold it 2 more times. We're going to fold it in half like this, and then in half like this. Fold it the last time, it should look like this. After you fold it. Wait, sorry about that. This is what it should look like at the end. You don't fold it another time after this. And when you open up your paper, you should have 8 nice rectangles. So we're gonna fold it back up. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this paper into a square, which is easier for us to get like nice uniform flowers. So what a simple way to measure this is to take your thumb and your pointer finger and just measure it like this, and then flip it around and use your pencil and make a little marking right where your thumb is, and that's where you're gonna cut. If you can see that little marking that I made right there, that's where we're gonna cut. So when you're ready to do that, you're gonna take your scissors and you're just gonna cut right along that marking that you made with your finger. And now our paper that was previously a rectangle is now a square, just like this. We're gonna unfold it, and now you have 8 squares on your paper. So now what we're basically gonna do is we're basically just gonna cut along the crease. A helpful way is just to fold it back up so you don't have to use effort to cut that, and the lines also come out more uniform. So we're just gonna cut along the crease. Basically each place where the paper folds is where we're gonna cut. So when you're done with that, you should end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nice white squares. And these are what we're going to use to cut out our flowers later, just like that. And once you're done with that, we're going to set the white squares aside, and we're going to take our yellow paper. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to be using the yellow paper to cut our centers. And we're going to use smaller rectangles for this, about this big. But you can make like 4 circles with this on each one. So you can always use the yellow paper again if you ever want to continue making your chain. So we're gonna take it like this first, and then we're gonna fold it like this to make 2 long rectangles. So this is what it should look like. And then you are going to fold that in half. Fold it in half again. And one more time here. So in the end, we are going to have 16 of these rectangles that we're going to cut our centers out of. I think that dividing it into the rectangles is really helpful because it kind of helps you scale everything, and you don't waste a lot of paper, because if you just like cut from the side, it's going to be a waste. So if we do this, we should have 16 rectangles. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to cut along the crease again. And this is what we're going to end up with, 16 of these small yellow rectangles. I'm going to use the leftover ones that I made from yesterday when I was making the one up there. But yeah, so you can, I cut out 2 circles on each one, but you can do 3 or 4, and that will still work. So I'm going to put my camera right here. And this is what we could end up with. Alright, so if you're ready to move on, we're going to take one of our yellow rectangles and one of our white, and we're just going to kind of visualize how large or small you want to cut your flower. So we're going to make a stencil first. And again, your flowers don't have to be exactly identical, but for the sake of, having it look uniform, I think a stencil is very helpful. So you're going to take one of your 8 white squares, and you're just going to sketch out a basic flower design. It can have 6 petals, 5 petals, however many petals you want. So yesterday I did 5, so today I can do 6. But make sure that it's easy for you to cut out in the end. Any lines that I didn't like the look of. Something to keep in mind is that you want to make sure that you leave room in the middle to put the center, um, because we're gonna basically layer on the circle from the yellow paper onto the white paper. So now when you're done, you're going to layer your white paper. I recommend doing it in small batches because your scissors might not be able to cut through that many layers of paper, especially if you're using like cardstock or any very heavy paper. So what I like to do is like to use a piece of tape, and I just like to fasten it in the corner to make sure that the paper doesn't fall around later. So now I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm basically just gonna cut along the outside of the flower. And then you could use it as a stencil for later, or you could just trace over one of the flowers that you already cut out. So now I have 4 of these identical flowers. And if you have pencil markings on the side, just very gently erase that. Staple the paper. Alrighty, so we're gonna make 8 at a time. So I still have 4 more. So I'm going to use one of the flowers that I already made, and I'm just gonna basically and I just transferred that shape onto my other paper. And again, I'm going to use another piece of tape, fasten it in the corner, and I'm going to put it along the lines. And we should have 4 of these flowers. So in total, we should have 2, 4, 6, 8 of these daisies. So now we're gonna get on to making the center. You can also use like a template kind of thing to do this. You could, if you want, you could cut these in half, and that will help you make more at one time. So we're gonna find out the best shape of the circle that will fit nicely into our daisy. It really depends on how much space you have in between. So here I'm thinking about like kind of the size of a bottle cap. And I'm just gonna sketch that onto my yellow paper, just like that. And I'm gonna draw 2. And I'm gonna layer 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4 pages. So when I finish cutting them, I'm gonna have 8 circles. 8 to fasten it again. And I'm just gonna cut long lines. We already have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're gonna cut the other. Alrighty. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's completely fine if some are bigger and some are small, because you can just always it adds like a little bit more dimension, which is good. So if we're done with that, we can move on to assembling the flowers. So we have 8 of our white petals, or white daisies, and then we have 8 centers. If you'd like, you can take some like Sharpies or whatever kind of pen marker, and you have at home, and you can draw some designs on them. But first we're gonna just assemble the flowers. So you're gonna take one, and we're gonna take our tape, and we're gonna make a little rolly. So how we do that is we just make a little cylinder and make it double-sided. If you have double-sided tape, that's fine too. And we're gonna take a little rolly right here and stick it right on the back of that, and then we're gonna stick it right in the middle of our flower. There you go. 1. And so we're just gonna do it for each. Make sure not to make your rollies too big, because then they're gonna stick out the side of the daisy, and we don't want that. We don't want any tape to show, because especially if you're hanging outside, it's gonna accumulate a lot of dust and all of that. So You can also use glue, or if you don't want having a staple shown, you can also use a stapler. You should have 8 of these very cute daisies. And again, you can, if you have time at home, you can draw whatever designs on it. You could make different colors. Really, the possibilities are endless. You could do whatever you want. So last time I made these, I just did a very simple 5-petal daisy, but this time I'm doing a 6-petal one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do some very basic designs on it. You could do whatever you want. This is a just a little suggestion. I'm just gonna do some dots in the middle, just make it look like, you know, realistic. So it's just if you don't want to do that, you maybe half of them with the dots and half of them without. The other half is the cute little smiley face. You can also do design little petals, whatever you want. You could also make little leaves with green paper if you'd like. All right, so I have my daisies, the ones with the smiley faces and the ones with the more realistic looking center. And now is the fun part. We are going to take our string, and this is pretty much the last step of the process. But again, you don't have to make only 8 daisies. You can just continue it in your free time and make however many you want. Yeah, so I'm not going to cut my string just yet. I'm going to put it down on my table, and when you are gonna hang this, you wanna leave at least, I think, a foot of string at the end, so you can tie a nice knot, or maybe 2 or 3, to make sure that it's secure. So I'm gonna leave a foot at the end if I like stretch that out with a foot. And I'm going to take my first flower, place down, and I'm just gonna slide it under like that. I'm gonna take a piece of tape. And if you think that's a little bit risky, you can just always add another piece of tape on top. So our little flower is on the strip. And you just do that for every single flower. Leave about 6 inches of space in between. So stop it. And move the camera back a little bit. Okay, so when you're done with that, it should be a nice long piece of paint. I'm gonna put this in the background. And now I'm gonna show you guys how to finish it off if you're ready to do so. So again, we're gonna line the two top flowers right here, and then we're going to cut right where the ends of the string meet, right here. So we're gonna have a foot on each side to hang it. And there you go, those are beautiful. And you can knot it on your curtain, on like a curtain hanger, on your porch, in your room, pretty much anywhere you want. And yeah, just be creative with it, and you can make so many different kinds, so many different versions with any flower you like. Yeah, so even though we only made 8 in this workshop, you can keep continuing at home if you have time, and you can make as long as a chain as you want. So yeah, thank you so much, and I hope to see you all back for another workshop in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. You explained that very well, and it's a very cute craft. I was able to make one of those. I'm going to have to keep adding more to it.